Of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Congressman Michael McCaul. Mr. Chairman, thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thanks, Maria.
I want to get your take on the capability of these balloons. I know that you can't reveal everything that you've learned in your briefings, but what can you tell us about the potential dangers here?
These spy balloons have great capability to gather and collect intelligence. I would argue more so than even satellites, in the sense that they're flying at, say, 40 to 60,000 feet above the Earth. The imagery that they can capture and other intelligence data that I can't be specific about can be captured and then transmitted back to the mothership in Beijing. They have control over these balloons. You know, this was an act of espionage in plain sight, plain view of the American people. I know there have been reports of prior ones, but none quite like this. And the reason why this one is so damaging is I do a damage assessment about what really happened that day. This balloon went over 3 of our most sensitive nuclear sites, one being in Montana that runs the triad, that's air, land, and sea nuclear strikes and counterstrikes. It went over our strategic command in Omaha, Nebraska, where our biggest stockpile of nuclear weapons exists. It's so sensitive that after 9/11, President Bush was actually escorted from the White House to this strategic command position. And then finally in Missouri, the B-2 bomber site, this was not by action, it was by design. I think the Chinese Communist Party had this air flight pattern already set forth prior to its flight. Of course, we're getting a fire alarm now in the building, Maria. It must be the Chinese Communist Party trying to disrupt the show.
Wow, you're getting fired. This is unbelievable. Look, is this the preamble to the CCP going into Taiwan? What are you expecting in terms of a potential invasion there? And how will the U.S. also be affected, in your view?
You know, my job is to analyze and report message. I think the motivation intent's clear here. They want to get imagery, get intelligence on our military capability, particularly nuclear. And they're building quite a nuclear stockpile themselves. Why do they want to do this? Well, they're preparing, if they don't win the elections in Taiwan next January, they are preparing for a military conflict. And they're trying to collect information about our military capabilities in the United States in preparation for that conflict. There's no question about it in my mind. And that's why that balloon was so dangerous. And it was so dangerous for the president to allow it to go forward. Once it entered U.S. airspace around Alaska, it should have been immediately shot down. It was not. And now the damage is severe in terms of compromising national security. He can't secure our borders, but now he can't secure our airspace over the United States of America.
This is just extraordinary. I know your committee also touches on the Hunter Biden crimes. You've sent letters working with James Comer, but you've sent letters to preserve documents in that regard. But you've also sent letters to Anthony Blinken about the Afghanistan pullout. I want to get your take on what you're going to do about all of this, because what we're learning this morning is that so far, Congress is being stonewalled.
Well, we have subpoena power. Now, look, I was a federal prosecutor for many years. I know how to conduct an investigation and a prosecution. That's essentially what we're doing here. You know, we're going to try to get them in a cooperative way. If not, we're going to serve subpoenas. On those two issues, I'm very interested in what was going on at the Biden Center. The $30 million in Chinese money going into the University of Pennsylvania. At the same time, the Biden Center is being stood up. Guess who the general managing director was of the Biden Center? Was now Secretary Blinken, in charge of the shadow government that was to be incoming with Biden had he won, which he did. I sent a letter asking questions about what were in those documents, what PRC officials visited the center, and a whole host of other requests. They're about a week overdue in that request, and we'll see what they provide. But it's very disturbing. Hunter Biden is another issue. He had access to these classified documents as well in the garage. We know that because his laptop, proves that. And with respect to Afghanistan, there are a lot of questions unanswered there. I am doing this not for me or the Republican Party. I'm doing it for America and our veterans who serve so bravely and our Gold Star mothers who deserve answers as to why this went so badly, jeopardizing Americans and leaving behind so many American citizens and Afghan partners.
Well, also, Congressman, you have already asked for a specific dissenting cable that went into the embassy about the policy of the United States. They're not handing that document over to you. Can you tell us about that document and why it's so important?
Well, it's important because it's a very extraordinary measure of relief to have an emergency cable sent from Kabul to Washington, to the Secretary of State and the White House, basically saying they dissent with the policy of the United States when it came to the evacuation. I want to know what they were dissenting. I don't care about the names. They can block that out. I want to know why they were dissenting. I think I know why, but why would they refuse to produce a document like that? And if they do refuse, I do have the subpoena power that I fully intend to exercise. I also want to know why the Taliban was put in charge of the entire evacuation, leading to 13 servicemen and women dying.
Yeah. Congressman, real quick before you go, we only have a couple of seconds here. How would you assess Joe Biden's response to the Communist Party of China's provocations?
I think it is, it's betraying the nation.
Betraying the nation. Congressman, thank you. Michael McCaul joining us this morning. We'll be right back.